So we hopefully have been able to pare down our talk with you to some of our more salient points. And we tried to take into, we looked at some of the questions that were submitted, so we wanted to make sure that we hit those also. And we will, at the end, pause for some time for you to ask us some questions that maybe we didn't answer that you were hoping that we would touch on. So Mr. Weaver is going to share our presentation with you. Again, as Ms. Maurer mentioned, this will be posted, so you don't have to try to write information down. Just sit back, relax, and listen to some of the things that we have to share, the information we share, some of the stories that we share, and then we'll wrap it up with some questions at the end. So, Mr. Weaver, if you want to get that going, that'd be great. Let's do, we did a little bit of introductions at the beginning, but I wanted to make you aware of the whole high school administrative team. So again, I'm Jim Gaskell. It is my honor to be able to serve as the principal here at the Career Center. Mr. Weaver and Mr. Herzog introduced themselves a little bit earlier, but two other members, very important members of our team who are not on this call tonight. One is Mr. Gillum. He's our student services supervisor. He actually hosted one of these sessions a little bit earlier last week or the week before last, I believe. So that his presentation from a student services director and what happens in the student services office should be available. Ms. Trusley, who is our CT supervisor, will be hosting one of these sessions in the near future, and she's going to talk more in depth about how we connect our students with employers. So this is the administrative team. And so we wanted to talk a little bit on the front end of our program. You know, we don't have to sell you on the Career Center and what are all the great reasons why kids should attend our school. You're here tonight because your kids are already been accepted and attending our school, and so that's great. So we wanted to talk a little bit first about, you know, what's our school all about. Mr. Weaver, go ahead and there we go. So I wanted to share with you real quickly our vision, our mission, and our belief statements. These were developed last year in part of our strategic planning committee meetings last spring, finalized last spring, but I just wanted to share these with you because we take these to heart, and especially the beliefs at the bottom and how we live day to day here at the Career Center. And this is how we want to interact with ourselves, with our students interacting with students. And I would tell you that our kids tell us when you look at these belief statements that we are already living them, and that they feel very welcomed here at our school. We have a tremendously diverse student body, which is, you know, it's awesome to see all of the kids and the students from different backgrounds who come to our school. We treat them well. We build great relationships with them. They build great relationships with their colleagues in their classes. So these are the things in which we live by, and we are even currently, we are, as an administrative team, looking at all the things that we do and running them through these filters to make sure that they do, in fact, fall in one of these belief areas. So the next slide talks about, you know, what our school has to offer, and this goes along with our vision and mission. And so we really strive to empower our kids to take charge of their learning, take charge of their education. And our staff is highly trained. They give them a high quality education, and we hope that with that education that they're receiving, that industry credentials and college credits will follow. We prepare them for next steps in their life. We give them real life experiences. We give them access to tremendously relevant and state-of-the-art equipment, and we really give them the opportunity to go deep and explore within their chosen field of interest. That next one about inspiring our students is one of my favorites, because we do challenge our kids and push them to stretch and to learn as much as they can about their chosen program. And what I find most fascinating is going into classrooms and watching our teachers teach our students, but also because they come from industry and they've lived that life, they're able to share those real world experiences, share stories about you know, their past and how they used to take what they are teaching their kids in the classroom and apply it to real life. And it just makes the curriculum rich, and it makes it come alive for our kids. And we definitely connect our students with others outside of our school. We connect them with employers. We connect them with college admissions officers. If the military is their thing, we've got connections to those folks. So we work. We have a great counseling office, and our lab instructors and our academic teachers do a phenomenal job of making sure that they learn about our students, they learn their interests, their passions, what they want to do, and they connect them with the right folks. So as we put this program together for you tonight, we tried to figure out what's the best way to take a whole lot of information and condense it and try to give you some things to walk away with, knowing that this is only the first step, and that there will be lots of opportunities between now and the first day of school to learn more about our school and how we do things. So we wanted to split our program up, or our talk with you tonight, into what are some things that you need to know before school starts, and then what are some things that you'll need to know when school is beginning. So for our before school starts, we wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that you're going to get a summer communication in August. So all of this stuff that you're going to see tonight, you're going to see it again. So don't panic like you have to get it all right now. We're going to overshare this so that you'll get it all multiple times. We wanted to share some start of the school information and what's going to be on your parent to-do list, parent and student to-do list, I guess I should put there. And so these are some of the things that you'll want to be taking care of before school starts. So we're going to talk a little bit about what InfoSnap registration is, paying for student meals and fees, the free and reduced application, immunizations, our digital equity survey, and, our Chromebooks here at DACC. We'll look at our school calendar and some upcoming events, including scheduled pickup, and then talk about student parking permits. So let's jump right into it. And I'm going to go fairly quickly through these slides. Again, they'll be available to you. This is informational for you, so there's nothing for you to do right now. It's just, we just wanted to put this stuff out there that, again, this will be stuff that as we get closer to the start of the school year and into August, that you'll want to make sure is on your to-do list. So we do something called InfoSnap registration. And so it's sometime in the first week of May, it hasn't gone out yet, but sometime in the first week of May, you should be receiving an email that will be sent to the email that was in your DACC application, asking you to create your InfoSnap registration. And so what that is, it's our online automated way for you to give us some information about your student, your health and medical information, applying for a student parking permit, reviewing the student handbook and signing off on that, signing up for our instant alerts. Which, by the way, I'll give you a quick inside scoop on that, and Alicia's smiling because she knows what I'm going to say, and that is not yet, but soon we're going to be, very proud to release some new tools to our students and our parents, including a website and a school app. So so we'll be more information will be coming out on that, but that's how we will be communicating, we hope, in the fall with parents and students, and we're pretty sure that's going to happen. So look for that email in May, the first week of May, to come out for you to get those links to begin that registration process. That we really need to have all of that information in our system prior to school starting. So if you don't get that email, check your junk folders, check your spam folders, and if you still don't find it, there's a number and a contact there for you to reach out to us to let them know that that you need that information, and she can get that resent to you. All right, so our next slide, paying for student meals. So this year, and we'll just address it now, that we talk about this every day, and what does school look like now, and what is school going to look like in August, and we don't know the answer to that, but we're kind of operating from a frame of reference that how we're operating schools right now is, there's a pretty good chance that that's how we're going to be in the fall. Don't know that for sure, but that's where we got to figure out where we're gonna begin. So right now in our cafeteria, we are cashless, so we don't exchange money. We ask for all of the accounts to have money on them. So when students go through the line, of course, meals are free, but we don't know what that, if that's going to be the case next year. But anyway, we ask that those accounts have money on them so that cash is not necessary. And you set those accounts up through our Pay Schools Central. But you can't do that yet because you don't have your access code. So when you get that access code, and that will be something that you get on student schedule and schedule pickup in August. Once you get that, then you'll be able to go into Pay Schools and set up your account and make your payments. Another commonly asked question, it's there in the middle of this slide. It says if you already have a Pay Schools account from your homeschool, you still will need to create a new account for DACC, but you have to use a different email address than your homeschool account. So if that doesn't make sense to you now, it will make sense to you when you are going in to try to set up your new Pay Schools account. So you can also write checks. That information is there, but we do, again, we want students to have money on their accounts when they're going through our cafeteria lines. On our next slide, we talk a little bit about paying school fees, and you'll get more information about that from your student's lab instructor. But again, you can write a check to us to cover that payment, or you can create that Pay Schools account and use a credit card using the Pay Schools Central. And we do have helpful information sheets on our website that will help you walk through that process if it's new to you. On our next slide, if a free and reduced application is something that you would want to submit, and you're eligible for that, you may submit that, and you may have some of your student fees waived. Your homeschools do not share that with us, so that we have to ask you to complete a separate one for us, in addition to the one that you complete for your homeschool. On the next slide, some immunization information. This is not new. This has been around for a little bit. This is about meningitis. It's not about COVID. This is about meningitis, and the state of Ohio requires that additional booster before your child starts 12th grade. So you got a little bit of time on that, but it doesn't hurt to have that in the back of your mind that needs to be something that is updated prior to the start of the senior year. Next slide, we talk a little bit about Chromebooks and our digital equity survey. We have many labs most of our labs here at DACC are one-to-one, which means that we expect our kids to have a Chromebook in those labs. Again, your lab instructor will communicate that, or should have communicated that to you. We also have that information on our website, which will be where you would find that when you click that link in the bottom corner of this slide. So one thing that I want to mention about this is that we do put a survey out in the fall. We ask that you fill this out for us, because it helps us know what your technology needs are. So it will help us know whether or not you're going to provide your own digital device, your own Chromebook, or whether you're going to be purchasing one through our school. It also helps us know if you have access to the internet at home or not. So in case we have those, when we have those opportunities for remote learning, we want to make sure that we can get students connected. So we do provide devices to allow students to connect at home if that opportunity is not there. So it helps us know what we need to be able to purchase and plan for to help our kids out. And I think I'm going to stop and I think Mr. Weaver wants to talk a little bit about our school calendar. So Mr. Weaver, you're up.
And Mr. Gasco, before we go on,
Sure.
We had a question. Are Chromebooks only for the academic classes or also for labs? And if someone has a computer, why do they need a Chromebook specifically?
I think if you have a PC, that'll work fine. It's not Chromebook
specific?
Thank you. It's not Chromebook specific. You need a device to be able to access the internet, access the Google Classroom, Blackboard, and any other application. So Chromebooks are probably your most economical approach to that. But yes, if you have a PC, that is fine, or a laptop, that's fine.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Was there another question there?
Nope, just clarification that they're asking about a digital design student, and I believe digital design is not on the list for needing a Chromebook because they have their own devices in the
Right.
lab.
Right. Digital design is not a one-to-one lab. I believe engineering is not a one-to-one lab. CBI is not a one-to-one lab. So that might be the only ones that are not. We're pretty close to one-on-one in just about every other lab, but we'll check that list.
Yep. The link I just sent a few seconds ago has the full list of which labs, at least as of now, are one-to-one labs. So.
Perfect.
All right, Mr. Weaver, are you able to unmute?
Yep, I think I'm good.
Oh, good.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Happy to have you on here with us. Happy that you've made a decision to come to DACC. It's an awesome place, and I think you guys will all very quickly find that out. The slide that I have up for you guys right now is our school calendar. No need to try to take a picture of that. You guys will have access to that soon. I don't know that it's on our website yet, but it soon will be. Just a couple things that I wanted to point out with our school calendar. We don't need to go into detail, but a couple very key points to know is that our students, our DACC students, they follow both schedules, both their home district schedules, their calendars, as well as ours. And some of the main aspects to know with that situation is when the student's home district has a scheduled day off and DACC is in session, the student is still expected to attend DACC. And with that, and we'll get to transportation situations here soon, in those situations, like I said, when it's a scheduled day off for their home district, their transportation still runs and their buses still bring students to us, even though that they don't have school those days. Now for weather, it's different situations, but for it's a scheduled day off, that's how it operates. Some upcoming events.
Mr. Weaver, can I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
When other schools call off and maybe we don't, or if there's a difference in scheduling, you may get a phone call from your associate school. They do not speak for the Career Center. So if you attend both schools, listen for a phone call from both. If you attend Delaware City and they cancel, that doesn't mean that we canceled as well.
Great point. Absolutely. And then something else to note, I would say all the districts that serve us, as well as our district at DACC, we all do a really good job communicating in advance those scheduled days off. Like if there's a testing or some situation coming up on a particular day, you will get some email blasts saying with communications saying that don't forget this particular day, do not show up here because of XYZ. So which is another really good reason to make sure that you check those emails, make sure it's not going to junk mail. So you're looking at those communications. The next thing that I have on the slideshow for you guys is our upcoming events. We have a few main things that would apply to you guys here coming up. First thing is our acceptance celebration. And you guys can see there which labs apply to which days. And there's 2 sessions each of those nights. So the first session being 6 p.m. to 6:45. And then the second session being 7 p.m. to 7:45. And then as you guys can see there, May 4th are those dates, or not, I'm sorry, not dates. May 4th are those labs. May 5th, those ones, and May 6th are those labs. The other couple upcoming events that I have set is scheduled pickup, which Mr. Herzog will explain here in a second. And then our first day of school is August 17th.
And then, Mr. Weaver, before you go on, someone asked for days that only DACC is in session. Are the buses only running to and from the high school, or will they still pick up at the student's house and then to the high school and then to the Career Center?
Yep, they will still pick up. A lot of times there's situations where they might have reduced number of buses because they don't have that many situations. And I know, like in particular, Olentangy will say they'll send out information to their DACC students saying, make sure that you call the transportation department to let them know that you plan on riding the bus. I would say, and I'll get to transportation here in the upcoming slides, but I would always be sure to stay in communication with your home district transportation department. They're the ones that are going to have all of the detailed information. If your student is at DACC and they have a question, I'm typically the go-to for transportation. They're more than welcome to come to me to ask me a question, and I might know the answer, but more often than not, I would say you need to contact your home district transportation department because they're the ones that make those decisions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Herzog. I'm one of the assistant principals here. It's nice to see everyone. Glad you can make it out tonight. One of those early school events that families and students and staff really look forward to is the scheduled pickup night. We do not have a date currently selected for that event yet, but I can tell you that traditionally it is scheduled for early August, a lot of times the week before school starts. And it normally runs from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be able to communicate that date with you in the summer newsletter when that is determined. There's a couple of pieces that we have to look at from the school side before we can settle on a date. Students, obviously, the night is kind of self-explanatory. The big thing is that you get to pick up your student schedule at that time. And one of the nice things about that evening is that as you're in the building, in the past, we've had students and families be able to tour the building to some extent. We're hopeful that we can do that again. One of the other items that you can do is also connect with our technology department. If you have your own device and you want to get it checked out by technology, or you have questions about hooking into our, connecting to our Wi-Fi account, or any other tech issues that you might have, technology will be available that night to answer those. Students and families can also purchase your parking permit at that time. They are $5. And then the school counselors will be available that evening, as well as many other building staff members, but the school counselors will be there. A lot of times at that time, they'll get a lot of questions regarding schedules, maybe questions about classes that they're in. So they will be available that evening to work with you and to make that night, beneficial. One of the things I want to put out there is last year, August of 2020, we were not able to have a scheduled pickup night because of COVID. I suppose that there's a chance that could be a repeat in the event that we are not able to host a live scheduled pickup. Obviously, we will mail home the student schedules to you ahead of the start of school. So next slide there, Mr. Weaver.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Herzog. Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that, right? We want to be in school. We want to be back to normal, just like our kids do, just like all of you. So we are fingers crossed and hoping that we can start next year differently than we started this school year. So Mr. Herzog mentioned there, we've talked about student parking permits. This is a common question. Just as the slide says, we will be selling them. They're $5. It's a little bit different than your home schools. So the initial application for those are done through the InfoSnap, but we know that sometimes InfoSnap is only open in the August and in early August up to when school starts, and then at some point that becomes inaccessible. So there has to be other ways to be able to purchase a parking permit. So we have other ways to get them. So never fear if you miss the opportunity, and maybe somebody gets a driver's license in November, there's always ways to get a parking permit. We do have a lot of kids that drive, so we try to we keep an eye on the number of passes that we do sell, and try to make sure that we are only selling a number of parking permits that will not overcrowd our parking lot. So we do ask that everybody's registers their car. We have a number of situations that occur where we have to also find the owner of a vehicle. Lights are on, or we've had even an instance this year where the car was running, so we needed to find the owner of that vehicle so that we could take care of that. So yeah, we need to get those cars registered. All right, so let's transition at this time to talking a little bit about when school starts. So we've gone through all that preliminary stuff. You've got all the registration pieces finished. When school starts, I want to talk about our safety and security plan, because that is always on the front burner for us in our thinking and our thoughts and how we move day to day. Talk a little bit about student IDs. Mr. Weaver is going to jump back in and talk more about transportation, and we'll talk about our daily schedule, attendance, Weather delays and closings is always a conversational piece, and we've already got those questions started, right? So, all right, so let's jump into our safety and security plan.
Mr. Gaskell, before we jump into this next session, can we just do a quick check-in with the group? Is everybody good with what you've heard so far? Give us a thumbs up in the chat or a thumbs up reaction, or this is a great chance to like just type in a quick question if there's something that was unclear. I see some thumbs up. We're good. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're not leaving anybody in the dust or leaving anyone confused. All right. Yep. All right. You guys are doing great.
All right. So we talk about safety and security all the time. It's important to us. It's important to our staff. And we want our kids to feel safe when they come to school. And that's physically safe, emotionally safe. So this is always something that drives our conversation. So from a physical standpoint, our outside doors are locked at all times. Just I'm certain that your home schools are the same way. And so they are only open when students are arriving or leaving our school, but we do have staff present at all of those exits to monitor what's happening. So especially when students are coming onto campus, we do stand outside and we greet our kids. We say hello to them. In fact, that's one of the things that we hear from our kids quite often is that how they appreciate that our staff stands outside and greets them day in and day out when they arrive to school, and we say adios as they're heading home for the day. So it's just part of how we really try to help kids feel connected to our school. But we also are checking for that student ID that we'll talk about in a little bit. But yes, all of our kids are asked to carry an ID. We provide that. And so, our kids understand, I believe they understand that we're not hassling them, that they have to have an ID. It's more about making sure that they belong and it's that they are a member of our school. And our purpose is checking to make sure that, yes, they belong, but also making sure that anybody who does not belong on our campus is stopped at those entryways. So that's very important to us. And otherwise, our doors are secure all day long, and visitors come to our main entrances and they interact through our buzzer systems with our receptionists to get access into our office areas. Okay, next slide. So as I mentioned real quickly, yes, we do ask our kids to have IDs. I believe there was a question that was asked prior to the session about student IDs and photos. And so, yes, so our kids who are, we do work with HR Imaging, and they come and take photos here. So you can purchase your picture package through us. They can do it through their homeschool too, but if you're a full day student, we offer that service here. And regardless of whether you order a picture package through us or not, we do ask that all students get a photograph so that we can create that ID for them. And we work with our kids to make sure that they carry that every day with them. If they misplace it or they leave it at home, we do have temporary IDs for them, but we do charge for a replacement. So we try to teach our kids responsibility. It's part of that transitioning to work and helping our kids understand that they got to be responsible for their possessions. Next slide.
And Mr. Gaskell, we have a question about when are photos taken for the IDs?
Yeah, that's usually within the first couple weeks of school. We don't have those dates. We've not signed our contract yet with HR Imaging, but when our information comes out in August, that information will be there. But it's usually within the first couple weeks of August, and then we do have a makeup day that's about a month later. So.
All right, thank you.
All right, on to transportation. And I do see that there's a question in the chat about transportation. So if after I go through a couple of these slides, if you still don't have an answer, please let me know and I'll try to clarify something. So first of all, bus transportation. One thing that I think it's important to know that I didn't know before I came to DACC, and I know a lot of you in our home districts, they don't realize, if they're not associated directly with their transportation department, is that DACC, we do not have our own buses. We rely on our own districts to transport their kids. Most typically, the situation and I'll give kind of the scenario of a AM lab student, which I would imagine most of you are getting ready to begin this coming fall, is a student catches their bus at their bus stop. Then that bus takes them to their high school with other non-DACC students. Then once they get to their high school, they get on another bus to come to DACC. That's the most typical situation that we have. I know in the past, a couple districts, Buckeye Valley and Big Walnut, they have had situations where instead of catching that kind of shuttle bus from their bus stop to go to the high school, they have, due to not having a very high number of students, they've just taken one bus and gone around and picked up their DACC students to then bring them directly to DACC. So then at the midday, if a student is a half-day student, which most of our students are half-day students, they will be dismissed at 10:50. They'll go out and get on their district's bus, whatever bus they're assigned to, that will take them back to their high school, in which they will get off. Most of those students would eat lunch then there at their high school and then attend their classes at their home high school for the rest of the day. If they're a full day student, they would obviously stay with us for the rest of the day, go to academic classes at DACC for the afternoon, catch their bus at the end of the day at DACC, take it back to their home high school, and then catch another bus to then take them home. The end of the day, there are a little bit more. I want to say the Westerville district right now, they don't take them back to their high school. They take the students directly to either their homes or their bus stops, depending on how close they live to their high schools. So that's pretty much the gist for the bus transportation situation. If, again, and I said this earlier, but I can't stress it enough, if you have questions, and you will get the plan directly from your home district transportation department. If you have questions, go to them. I'm not trying to avoid questions, but they are the source of the answers. So they would be the best people to answer your questions. The next bullet here, student driving. So student driving, we do, as you guys heard earlier, we do offer permits. They can park in the appropriate lots, and I'll show you a map here in a second so you'll see which lots I'm talking about. One thing I do want to point out is this coming school year, we have our highest enrollment ever. So we do have more students than we've ever had. Our parking lots are not at capacity right now this school year, but they're pretty full. So I would encourage riding the bus. The traffic around our school gets to be pretty crazy in the morning, at the midday, and at the end of the day. So if at all possible, I would encourage you and your students to ride the bus transportation. We also have the option for parent drop off and pickup, which I'll show you here in 1 second on the map.
So Mr. Weaver, while you're pulling up that map, I see two hands that are raised, and I just want to give them the opportunity to ask questions. So Ryan Fizzle, if you still have a question, I think you should be able to unmute yourself if you want to take a second to ask a question. Mm-hmm. Give you a second to find that. I don't think I can unmute you for you. Okay, well, if you still have a question, feel free to hit us up in the chat or raise that hand again, and then we'll let Mr. Weaver keep on moving.
Perfect, sounds good. Please feel free to interrupt as well. So a couple things to point out. This, if you see my laser pointer here, this is Route 23 right here. This is Glen Parkway. It comes right this way. All right. Some stuff to point out, and I'll kind of just go clockwise around the building. If you are a student in one of these labs that's on the southern end of the building, which you really have no idea what I'm talking about at this point. So we have an upstairs. All of our essentially our tech programs are upstairs: digital design, cybersecurity, and app development. They're upstairs. So they're on this half of the building, and then we also have culinary arts, landscaping, food service, hospitality, power sports and diesel, auto collision, auto tech, both of our engineering, both rad and technician, welding, and construction. Those are all the programs that are on this half of the building. All of those students would park in Lot A. Okay. And then they would enter the labs that are closer to this end would enter through here. Landscape would come in through door S if they're student drivers, and then everybody else would enter through door FF. And you guys will see all this information again. We'll have it out there, but the more times you see it, the better you'll be acquainted once we have our first day of school. So that's lot A right there. And one thing to point out is, regardless of whether you are a half day or full day student, you park in your designated lot according to your lab. So even if you're in academics at one point of the day, it doesn't matter. Your lot is determined by the lab that you're in. Lot B, parking lot B, is right here. This is where our parent drop off and pickup occurs. So looking at my laser pointer, cars would drive right here. They would turn and come through here, and a line would start, and then they would drop off right here for their student to walk into door A. And then those cars would turn and leave and go out this way. Okay. This is our main entrance right here. Entrance A. We also have a flagpole right there. Lot B and Lot C are staff parking for the most part. Our ECE program, our early childhood education, they're located right here. So we do have some spaces that we can accommodate them with. So they park there and then enter through door C. They can't all park in there because it fills up pretty quick. Then they overflow to lot B and lot A. Entrance F is only for our bus riders. So this right here is what we call bus alley. So our buses come in through this entrance right here, and then they come right following this. They come in here, pull around, and then in the morning they park in their spots. They have designated spots. And that's where the pickup and drop off occurs for our buses. And then all of these programs that are on this half of the building, they all park in parking lot E and enter through door M, with the exception of our fire students. They just go right directly into their lab, which is door J. So I'm going to I'll try to remember these. Mr. Herzog, Mr. Gaskell, you guys are welcome to help me. So we have cosmetology, dental assisting, bioscience, health tech, medical assisting, pharmacy, fire service, law enforcement, exercise science, and I think that might be it that's on this side of the building. They all park in parking lot E, and they park on the bus alley end of parking lot E. So pretty much all of these spaces are our student spaces, and then this area right here on this half of that lot are our staff spaces.
Mr.
Okay.
Weaver, do wildlife and resource management students drive directly to Camp Lazarus?
They do. So they drive directly over there, and then when they return, they park in lot A. Great question. Thank you.
And will their parking lot letter be on their parking permit, or is it just a kind of a generic?
It is not. I don't think so.
Okay.
If there's no questions, here are some other questions. I think I answered these. Again, we just kind of copy and pasted to try to make sure that we hit all the ones that we wanted to hit. Transportation to DACC and back to high school. Yes, in most situations, that's the way that it happens. Like I said, in the morning, a student would go to their bus stop, catch the bus, go to their high school, get off that bus, then they would get off their bus that picked them up at the bus stop, catch the DACC bus to take to DACC, and then do kind of the reverse of that when they get back to their home district, unless they're just attending academic classes for the rest of the day. Same thing for the second one and third. Yes, and I think I covered that. As of right now, we have enough parking, but like I said, we do have the highest enrollment we've ever had for next year. Daily schedule. Mr. Herzog, you're up.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Weaver. Actually, Mr. Weaver touched on a little bit of this when he was describing the bus arrival times and the pickup times and things like that. But I'll go through this real quick. Half-day juniors. you'll be in your lab from 7:50 to 10:50. So for that 3-hour block. And if you are a full day junior, once you're done with your lab at 10:50, you'll actually move right into your first academic class of the day. And then you will eat lunch during our 7th period. And then you'll go back to your final academic classes, period 8, 9, and 10 for the day, at which you'll finish at 2:20. Most of our academic classes, if you're a full day student and you're on the call, they are about 42 minutes in length. The exception being that first academic class in the afternoon, period 5, 6, it's about 52 minutes in length. We build in a little extra time there so that our academic teachers can hold like a brief meeting with all academics, all of our academic students that is in the cohort that they're assigned to. So they go over like general announcements and things like that. It's more of an informational piece. So there's a few extra minutes built into that first academic period. But again, you do full day students will eat lunch from 11:43 to 12:13. Next slide. All right, attendance. This is very, very important. I do oversee our attendance processes here at DACC, and I can just tell you, having worked in education for 18 years now, attendance is like one of the key indicators of success for our students, and it really truly is, essential for your successful completion of the curriculum in your lab, but also in your academic classes if you happen to be a full day student. So we understand illnesses happen and unexpected absences are going to occur. What we do ask is that the parents, not the students, but the parents complete the DACC absence form. It's a report an absence form, and that is something that we've worked on developing this year in preparation for next year. You'll be able to access that through the DACC mobile app or the DACC website. And we ask that you do that as early as you can, preferably before 9 a.m. Part of the reason is that we do have to send home. It's required by law that we have to send home phone messages if students are absent, and we do have to do that by the 2-hour mark. So by 9:50, we send those messages home through your phones if your student is absent and we don't have an indication. Our attendance office does have to cut off a time at which they have to run reports in order to know which students to send it to, so which families to send the message to. So that's why we say before 9 o'clock, we'll safely be able to filter you off of that list and you won't receive the call for the day. Prearranged absence forms. If you happen to know that you're going to be absent from school, we ask that you swing by the office, grab one of the prearranged absence forms, fill that out 3 days prior. It really helps our processes here. It allows your instructor to know of your absence, and then it goes through the attendance office, and then ultimately it goes to me for final sign off. And then we enter it into the computer system, and so you're properly documented at that time. I want to make sure everybody knows that our attendance policy is that we allow for 12 absences that can be given with a parent excuse, for instance, a parent call-in or a parent note. But after that, anything that's going to be considered to be excused would have to have some of the following official documentation that you see there at the bottom of the slide, like a doctor's note, a legal note, quarantine of the home, and so forth. So please keep an eye on that. We do send home letters at 5 days of total absence, 10 days of absence, and then when students are out of days. We do that to let parents know. Sometimes it slips our minds, and we just want to communicate as much as we can. Next slide. All right, DLA, distance learning absence. This was new for us this year. It is going to remain in place for next year. In the event that a student or that a class is held remotely, and it could be for a variety of reasons, your students' instructors, whether it be a lab instructor or academic instructor, they will assign an assignment for that day, and students will need to at least make an attempt at that assignment, complete it, and submit it by the deadline. that assignment submission, not how well you do on the assignment, but that assignment submission will actually count as your attendance for that day when you're at home. And so it's, you know, we've gone through hybrid, you know, this year, hybrid schedules. If we have to use it next year, we would. But I wanted to make sure everybody understands what DLA is. Just for your information, we are following what's called an evidence of participation model with this. That's how we're gauging attendance when students are at home. They really do have to be submitted by the deadline. We can't go back and alter attendance data really too far out. So for instance, if a teacher assigns it on a Monday and says, hey, it's due by Sunday night at 11:59, it really has to be submitted by then. Otherwise, the teacher will mark absence for that date. So I just want to be clear about that. House Bill 410, state truancy laws. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but essentially, I do send home letters for students who acquire 65 or more total absences. You're deemed excessively absent at that point. I am required by the law to send you a notice home. So I generally email and send a paper copy of it home as well. A lot of times, you know, that just garners a conversation, right, with the student and the family. Hey, what's going on? There's a lot of time missed so far. There may be some legitimate reasons that we don't know about. We can uncover those things. The next category is a little more serious. It's called habitual truant. If you have 72 or more unexcused hours during the school year, well, then that actually is required then to have a meeting between myself, the family, the student, and a Delaware County Court liaison, where we have to put together a plan to see an improvement in your attendance over the next 60 days. This is all to try to avoid truancy charges on students. That is not what we want to do. We haven't had to do that in the 2 years I've been here at DACC. I'm hoping that we don't have to do that. So make sure you get those notes in. You see the very last bullet there, medical excuses do not count toward either of the above mentioned categories. That is true. So if you happen to have had a doctor's appointment, please get those notes turned into our attendance office ASAP. We have that on file. We can safely go back and mark the absence as MEX. Those hours do not count in either of the above categories. Thank you, Mr. Weaver.
All right, guys, I'll go real quickly over just weather delays and closings. Really kind of the only things that I want to point out are make sure you sign up for our alerts and notifications, which I've linked this here. And as you heard earlier, we might be releasing a new app and have a new website in which we'll have updated links and that are signups for alerts and notifications. And then another really important document for you to look at is the weather-related scenarios. Being that we have 12 different high schools that come to us with multiple districts, there's so many different scenarios that we could be in, with maybe DACC being in a delay and your home district not, or your home district being closed and we're not closed. There's so many. So it's important for you to look at that so you know kind of what's coming. And as you would have it, Mother Nature's gonna throw us a nice little curveball tomorrow night, it sounds like. So we'll be living this with a lot of our students here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
So I'm happy to see that we still have most of our guests. After 50 minutes of talking with you, most of our guests have hung in there, so we appreciate you. So we're going to end up our evening here by answering some questions. These questions on the screen were some of the ones that we received prior to our session, and I think that we've addressed a number of those. We addressed the first one about IDs and pictures. The ACT test in that second question, if your student is a half-day student, then the ACT test is taken at their home school. If you're a full-day student, then that test is taken here. Extracurricular activities were obviously a little different from home schools, that we don't have those extracurriculars. But we do encourage our students to participate in those at their home schools. We do have career technical student organizations for each of our labs, and so our students have the opportunity to participate in those activities and competitions. That fourth question there is an important question. What if the student decides that doesn't like the course of study, or what if the student does not like the program that they're enrolled in? So the challenge here is that we work with our kids to make sure that they're selecting a program that's really of interest, that they really want to dig into. And it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a program that's a hobby. It should be a program that that the student is looking to potentially want to do for a career and spend the rest of their life doing that thing. So between now and the start of school year, if you really choose or really feel like that program that you've signed up for isn't what you're after, then that's not a problem. We can work with you to get back to your home school full time. Once the school year starts, we have about a 2-week window for students to get in and begin to learn about that course and the curriculum. And then within that 2 weeks, if it's not working out, then yes, we can work with the student and family to transition back to the home school. But after that point, it gets a little bit more complicated. And we work with our students and to try to get them through the first semester and through the first year and hopefully finish their program. Changing programs is a difficult thing, and so I won't go into it here. But if you find yourself in that situation, and we'll certainly talk with you about what options are at that point. Uniform policies, yes, some of our labs have uniform policies and requirements. The lab instructors will talk with you about that. CCP and how do those courses work with the DACC program? Mike, did you want to talk real briefly about that?
Yeah. So for junior full day students, we do have a CCP option for English 11. Many of you have already responded to a Google form that was sent by our student services. That would be our student counselors, school counselors rather. And so we have some indication of that already from many of you. If you have any questions about CCP courses, like I said, for juniors, it's really only English 11. We have sometimes a few spots for a statistics course for juniors. That's if they can fit into another stats class that seniors take during their lab. But if you do have any questions specific for CCP, I really recommend that you reach out to our school counselors as soon as you can and get those questions on their radar for scheduling purposes. I think we had another. Is there a way to do more hands-on scheduling? I personally have taken a couple classes that are at my grade level standard. So again, our counselors will review transcripts. They will not put you into a class that you've already taken. They review those very carefully and make sure that you're placed appropriately into a schedule that will meet graduation requirements. But again, if you have any specific questions about that, please reach out to our school counselors.
Thanks, Mike. And that last question there about our safety and our bullying policy. We talked about safety, but as far as our bullying policy goes, one of the things that I will say about our kids is that they really tend to take care of each other, especially in their lab classes when they begin to build and those relationships and forge those bonds. But our kids usually have a go-to person, which is their lab instructor, most of the time, but not always. But there's usually an adult at our school that our kids connect to, and we encourage our students at any time if they are not feeling safe, if they're not feeling comfortable, if something is bothering them, to please make sure they go to that go-to person and let them know what's happening. Somehow or another, whatever is happening always circles around back to us here in the offices, and then we're able to work with teachers and students to resolve those situations. So 7:57, we went a little bit longer than we had hoped to go. So we're going to stop and we're going to take questions for the remainder of our evening. So Ms. Mowry, I assume that you're still with us. Is there anything else that you want to do besides take some questions?
So do half these students eat lunch at their home school? And if so, why do they need to keep money on their pay school account?
So I can jump in there and answer that one. Yes, in most situations, our half-day students do eat at their home schools. So they don't necessarily need to keep money on their pay school account. However, they may eat breakfast at our school. So that could be a situation there. But yeah, in most situations, they do eat at their home school and they wouldn't necessarily need to keep money on their pay school account.
All right. And then I want to clarify one thing. Mr. Gillum proactively added one more session to our acceptance event after the three of you put this wonderful presentation together. So those of you who did sign up for the 5 p.m. session, you are good. It has not been canceled. It's still there. So there's the 5 p.m. and then there's 2 other sessions after that. But the link we sent you, and I will link it here again for the acceptance celebration registration. There are 3 sessions to choose from. So I just linked that again.
And I see the question in the chat from Christian, Kimberly Ann about a student with an IEP situation, accommodations. The person you're going to want to contact is, you can work through your home district counseling department, your student services department, and then also ours as well. The main person at ours would be Mr. Gillum, Mr. Dave Gillum, and you may have received some communications from him, but especially if you're half day, you'll work through your counselor at your home district.
Yeah.
And the name that I put in there for you was Kelly Wolf with her phone number. She works in that same department. Yep. So if you call that number, you're getting the same resources.
Yep.
If we go half day and our homeschool is closed, will we eat at DACC?
Sorry, I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah. So if they're a half day student, and they would normally go back to their homeschool for lunch, but their homeschool is closed that day, what's their lunch plan? What do they do for lunch?
So, well, first of all, in that situation, you would need to provide transportation on your own. And anytime that we have a situation where a student is at our school and they need to get a lunch, we'll make sure that we accommodate them. Yep, so they would be able to.
All right.
PM lab session begins at 11:25.
Thank you. I'm just linking to the bell schedule for anybody who wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christian, Kimberly Ann, you had said you're homeschoolers, so that would still apply. Just call that number we gave you for Kelly Wolf.
Yep.
Or honestly, any of those emails you've been getting from us, the new student information emails, if you hit reply, those go directly to Kelly Wolf. So you can always reply to one of those 2 and ask her your questions.
Yep.
All right. We're here to hang around for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, can I ask for just another thumbs up, thumbs down? Was this helpful? Does everybody feel like you're getting good information? Okay. Oh, we got a heart. Look at that. And some clapping. Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Excellent.
Wonderful. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can probably unmute yourself and ask a question. And we will just hang out for a few more minutes. But if you have to run, we totally understand. If you came in late, we will record, or we did record this. We'll send this out. So if you came in late and you missed part of it, you'll get caught up on the beginning of that from the recording.
I have one question before we leave.
Mm-hmm.
How many students will be in the school in the fall?
Do you know how many students are enrolled at this point?
I don't have an exact number, but I would tell you it's a little over 1,000 right now.
And that's kind of also a trick question,
right?
Because not all of those students are in the building at that point.
Right.
If that makes sense, because we have half-day students, we have
off-campus
3 satellite
programs. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Happy you could be with us. Look forward to meeting you guys in next school year.
Yeah, thank you so much.
These are the gentlemen your students will be seeing when they come in on day 1. So we're excited to get to know you a little bit early and bring this information to you. So thanks, everyone. And we'll just make sure everybody has all their questions answered. Sometimes it just takes a second to find that chat button or that unmute button, and we'll just make sure everybody feels good about logging off for the night.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks
everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Do you know if the links have been sent out for the acceptance letters yet? The celebrations?
They have, yes. The
Okay.
sign up for acceptance celebration.
Thank you.
Would you like me to put that in the chat one more time so you have it?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Yep, right here in the chat.
Hey, Brandon. How are you, buddy?
Brandon wanted to say hi, Mr. Gaskill.
Oh.
Hi, it's great to see you. Look at you. Look how you've grown up.
Yep, he's a big kid now. He's coming your way.
Oh,
No, I didn't catch him on the list. So what program are you in?
Cybersecurity.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love that program. Mr. Cochran is he's fantastic. He's phenomenal. And he is one of the best storytellers. I mentioned that earlier. He loves to talk about his previous life and what he used to do. You're gonna have such a blast. I can't wait to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Bye.
for coming.
really quick question. Will you include the links in the slide? You guys are going to send out the slides that you covered, right? Will you also include the links that you posted in there? Just include them like in the appendix or something? Okay.
Absolutely. So in the follow-up email, you'll get the recorded video, you'll get the slides that you can click through, and then the list of links that we linked to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good
Awesome. You too.
evening. Bye-bye.
Can you link the celebration into the
Into the chat.
slides?
Oh, into the slides. Yes. Yeah. The link to the sign up for the celebration will be in there. Have you been getting our emails for like new student information?
Yes.
Okay. There. If the most recent one had that in there as well, in case you need to dig that up quickly.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we'll link to that too.
I have just a quick question.
Mhm.
I thought I heard from my son's teacher that it's at DACC it's a semester commitment versus a year commitment. Is that?
What program is your child accepted into?
He's in the exercise science program. He has an IEP. I didn't know if that was maybe specific to his situation or if I just misunderstood.
No, it should be actually a 2-year commitment. So if he's coming in as a junior, the expectation is that he'd spend his junior year and his senior year with us at DACC. It's for half the day. So it's not a whole day. It's for half the day at a time, but it's for 2 years.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm thinking more along the lines of like if he is really struggling there. I know there's the 2-week kind of grace period, but I thought his teacher said if he really was having a hard time after a semester that he could bow out.
So we never lock the doors behind any of our students. We'll never tell you that you cannot go back. What that 2-week window is after that 2 weeks, it's just really hard to slot you back into the classes that you would have been missing. So we try after that 2 weeks to really make it work, but the doors are never locked behind you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I think that covers everything. Thank you, gentlemen. You did a fantastic job covering a lot of information in an hour. I appreciate you spending your evening here.
Yeah, well, thank you for organizing that. Sorry we ran a little bit long, but I think we did okay.
I think you did great. All right, well, I am going to go ahead and end the meeting for everyone, and then I will gather up that recording and all the notes and the slides, and I'll get that out to everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Great to have you on tonight. Look forward to meeting you in the fall.
Thank you. Have a good night.
See ya.
See you guys.